However, if you do mess something up, it always helps to personalize it and admit that you were wrong. Say you were human, and unfortunately things happen. People love that, and they respond so much more when they know that they're speaking to a person and not a business.
We interrupt this program to bring you this important message. Welcome to Marketing Interruption, a daily podcast powered by BlueTuskr that interrupts your day with marketing news, tips and strategies from an entrepreneur who lives and breathes marketing. Now, let the interruption begin with your host, Andrew Maff.
Hello and welcome to episode number 28, Marketing Interruption. I'm your host, Andrew Maffatone, and today is story time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about an email marketing mistake I made years ago that leveraged some of the best data and some of the best numbers I've ever seen. So a little bit of background. Years ago, this was probably 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Before I was in the agency, I was technically not an agency. I was running marketing for a founder who had several companies. So it was kind of like an agency, but it wasn't. But anyway, one of the things he ran was a SaaS company. And we were targeting e-commerce sellers. And what I did was I kind of helped build out, their marketing. And one of the things we did is we did a big content play, a ton of blog posts, and we were doing, I think, a weekly newsletter. I think it was weekly. And he had a very boisterous email list. People would typically respond to this stuff. They usually were under the assumption that he was the one sending the emails. Not always, but sometimes. And this was a relatively promotional email. It wasn't a discount or anything like that. It was kind of like, here's a bunch of blog posts that we had written. Here's some stuff going on in the news. It was kind of more of an e-commerce informational weekly newsletter that we did. Anyway, so I sent out this email, and I don't know what happened. Maybe I was in a rush, maybe something. I always send emails to myself and test them and look at them on a phone and a tablet and just kind of double check everything. And for some reason, I just didn't do this day. So I sent out this email. I come in the office. I think our emails around then were going out at like 8 in the morning. I come in the office and I have so many emails, like a ridiculous amount in comparison to what I normally had. And a couple of the other people in the office were just like, dude, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. What are you talking about? Well, there was a blatant spelling error in the subject line. There was a real bad spelling error in the snippet. Then there was probably 2 or 3 more spelling errors within that email, and one really obvious one, like right in the title, right when you open it. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I didn't do it, why I didn't look. I must have just breezed through it. I can't remember what the hell happened, but so this email goes out. So I wrote it down on what happened here. So our open rates were typically 25-30% for these types of emails. This specific email was like 47.5. Like almost half the amount of people that got it opened it. The click rate was usually like a 3 to 5%. This was 12. Like it was nuts in comparison of basically doubling our metrics across the board. I didn't have a metric for a response rate, but if I did, this would be more than double. So many people emailed us, and a couple people tried to take my job, which fuck that guy. But they were like, oh, if he's not paying attention to this, then what else isn't he paying attention to? And I could do this better. And if you're hiring, let me know. It was really, just like, all right, you took your shot. A bunch of people responded of just like, hey, you made a typo. Some people were super nice about it. Be like, oh no, can't believe this happened. Here's what you did wrong. But still a great newsletter or something like that. So there's a ton of responses. And I was like, fuck, like, what did I do? I was panicking. I was so pissed. I was so upset because I try not to do that kind of stuff. And so here's what I did. So my thought was, I need to bounce back from this. And I can't send another email apologizing for typos. I can't send another email the following week and just pretend it never happened. Something has to happen here. But our metrics were nuts. I also didn't have metrics on how many new clients we would normally get from a newsletter like that, because it was kind of just a content one. So we weren't tracking that directly. We were just kind of more indirect. And this one, that day, we had a ridiculous spike in new people coming in who were leads coming in. So even though it was crap email, it worked really well. So my thought was, okay, this is very interesting. And it's intriguing because we started joking, like, should we do spelling errors on everything? So what I did is I wrote a blog post. I don't write very often because I just get bored after a while. But I was like, I have to write this. Like, this needs to be from me as a, here's what I did, here's where I messed up, but here's the numbers that we got. And so I did one blog post. The next week, the next newsletter came around. I basically made that entire newsletter about that blog post that I wrote. And the subject line, the snippet, and all that kind of stuff were very specific to last week we fucked up and this week I'm fixing it. Like, the whole thing was like, don't worry, we double checked this one about grammar. One guy called me out for like, you didn't put this comma in the right spot. Like, screw you, I hate commas. But so setting out all this stuff. This email didn't do as well as the other one, but still did a ridiculously high open rate and click rate in comparison. And a bunch of people sent over an email saying that, like, oh, this was great. The numbers you guys got were amazing. This is a real cool, like, find. So it's basically an unwanted test that I did. And kind of what I wanted to give into this is, when you mess something up, if you can remind your consumer that you're human, like they're buying from a person, you can really connect with them and they actually appreciate that much more. They don't want to buy from a business. They want to buy from a person. And what I did is I made a personal connection with all those people by sending out that follow-up email with that blog post that explained, hi, my name is Andrew and I fuck shit up. So I sent all that out and I made a personal touch with those people to tell them, like, hey, I'm human and unfortunately shit happens. And it worked amazingly. I'm not telling you in your next email, go make a ton of typos. However, if you do, or you do mess something up, it always helps to personalize it and admit that you were wrong, say you were human, and unfortunately things happen. People love that, and they respond so much more when they know that they're speaking to a person and not a business. So, of course, today's featured tool is Grammarly. It will check your spelling mistakes and any grammar issues you have on wherever you're typing on the internet. So that's all I have for today. I wanted to share my story. It was very interesting. I thought y'all could learn something from it. So thank you. Rate, review, subscribe. Shoot me an email, marketinginterruption@BlueTuskr.com, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us for today's Marketing Interruption. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. And don't forget to email marketinginterruption@BlueTuskr.com with any marketing questions you'd like to have answered on the show. And head over to marketinginterruption.bluetuskr.com to catch up on past episodes. Until next time, we now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.